Hi everyone. This lesson comes from portions of your CPM book. And as you can see, I've actually just typed the label or the title of each of these sections. So we're going to look at those as our targets today. So it's lessons 821 and 822. And the idea of 821 is to begin to look at multiple representations for quadratic functions. And then 822 is something called the zero product property. So what I'm going to be doing is interweaving these two things. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to look at two quadratic equations in this lesson, and we're going to do the following for each. So first, I've graphed each of them on Desmos graphing calculator, so we'll take a look at that. We're going to determine whether each of these is a parabola that opens upward or downward. We're going to determine the x-intercept or intercepts and the vertex. And then we're going to factor the quadratic and see how that relates to the x-intercepts. And we'll look at a pattern that helps us determine the vertex. All right, so let's take a look at the Desmos graph for this one. All right, so you can see clearly when you look at this, this opens upward. Right, so if it's like a bowl, we say it's an upward opening parabola. You can see that it's basically its x-intercepts where it crosses the x-axis are here and here, and the vertex is down here. Okay, now Desmos has this nice feature where if you click on the point, it will give you the coordinates of that point. So we can see the coordinates for the x-intercepts are -5, 0, and 3, 0. And the coordinate for the vertex is -1, -16. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to actually use what we've been doing, and that is factoring the quadratic. And then we're going to see how the factored result relates to the graph that we just made. All right, so you can see I've already set up the diamond here and the box here. So just a quick review. First and third terms go in the box. And then right here in the diamond is the product of the first and third, so -15x squared, and then your 2x right here. So when you're factoring a quadratic, what you're looking for are factors of the first and third terms that will give you a sum of the middle term. All right, so let's take a look. Let's keep going. So then when I did this, I'm like, all right, well, my two factors for -15x squared would be 5 and -3, and it's a +5 because I need a +2x. So I got -3x and 5x, and then I just wrote them here in the diamond, right? Hopefully these steps are starting to become second nature to you. I'm sorry, I wrote them from the diamond into the square. Again, it doesn't matter where. Either way you do this, you'll come up with the same answer. All right, and then I have my numbers outside of the rectangle. I started here with x times x. That's the only possibility if you've got x squared, and that makes the rest of this quite easy. So this has to be 5, this has to be -3, and then I just checked here to see. Okay, so when I factored it, I have x minus 3 times x plus 5. All right, well, let's take a look over here at the x-intercepts. Crosses at -5, 0 and +3, 0. Now, of course, I want you to note in both of these, the y coordinate is 0. Right, that should make sense because it's right on the x-axis, right? And interesting, it's the opposite of these, right? All right, so that leads us into our next piece, which this is actually from lesson 822. We're going to talk about something called the zero product property, all right? And I will explain that name a little bit as we go along. But what I want you to do is note that I've rewritten the quadratic equation as x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Right, now the reason I've done that is I want to figure out basically where does this parabola cross the x-axis. So in order to do that, I need to figure out what x equals when y is 0. All right, so for the zero product property, you start by setting the equation equal to 0. All right, then you factor it, which we've already done. Okay, now here's the next step, and I need you to listen really carefully here. Zero product means anything times 0 equals 0. All All right, so then we have two possibilities here. All right, so what we have here is x times 3 times x plus 5 equals 0. That means either x minus 3 is equal to 0 or x plus 5 is equal to 0. So if I said x minus 3 equals 0, then x would have to be 3. If I said x plus 5 equals 0, then x would have to be negative 5. So I have two values for x. It's whatever is going to make what's inside the parentheses here equal to 0, right? And it could be two different numbers because you only need one of them to equal 0. All right, well, now we can see how that relates to the graph. When y equals 0, x can be negative 5 or x can be 3. That means this particular parabola crosses the x-axis in two places. And we actually were able to figure that out without graphing, or we could have done that. I just chose to graph this one first so we could see the pattern. All right, let's take a look at the vertex then. Okay, so where would you say the vertex lies in comparison to the two x-intercepts? Well, if you're looking, and if you said it's right smack dab in the middle, you would be right. All right, so here's how we can find the vertex. Now, this is just one way of finding the vertex. We're going to come up with some other ways, but this is a really good way to start thinking about it. So what we could do is average the two x-intercepts together to figure out what's halfway between them. And we figured it out, all right? 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So when x is negative 1, right here, if we come right down, then that would be what the vertex would be. And we can see it is the vertex right here, negative 1, negative 16. Again, Desmos actually gives you the vertex when you graph a parabola. All right, so then we can figure out the exact vertex by doing this second step. So you can see I've numbered them now. So here's just two steps to find the vertex. Average the two x-intercepts, then take what you got, the negative 1, and plug it into the quadratic equation to figure out what y will be when x is negative 1. All right, so I did that here. So negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 15. So that gives me 1 plus a negative 2 minus 15. So this would be negative 17 plus 1, negative 16. Sure enough, there it is. Right, so if you average the two x-intercepts, that gets you halfway between. Plug it into your original equation, and you'll figure out what y equals when x is that number. All right, let's try this one here. So this one is negative x squared minus x plus 12. We're going to go through the same steps. So I think you can see with this one is downward. It opens downward, right? And if you're thinking it probably has something to do with this negative, you're correct. So anytime this first term is negative, or we would say that A is negative, it's going to be downward opening. Some people call it downward facing. All right, so I have my two x-intercepts here, and here's my vertex. Now on this one, the vertex is a maximum point because it's the highest point. The one we did before that was upward opening, the vertex would be the minimum point, right? I think that makes sense if you think about it. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I'm going to factor this. Now, I want you to note what I do if I have a negative with my first term is I factor out a negative 1 first, right? Remember factoring out a monomial? So then that means I just change the sign of each thing inside, and then I just have to factor this. Right, so first and third terms, here's my product, here's my sum, and I landed on negative 3x, positive 4x, put them over here in my rectangle. So I have x minus 4 times x minus 3. Okay, now here's the thing. Don't forget, if you've factored out a monomial, to bring it back down here. All right, now next, back to zero product property. So I set the equation equal to 0, all right? I've already factored it, right? And really this could equal 0 or this could equal 0. So x could either be positive 3 or it could be negative 4. And I think if you look over here, you note, oh yeah, right? X-intercepts 3, 0, negative 4, 0. But we would have been able to do that without graphing first. All right, now let's see if our method works for finding the vertex. All right, so the two steps that we did before, All right, let's try them again. So let's average the two x-intercepts. So this time it's 3 and -4. So that's -1 divided by 2 is -0.5. Sure enough, all right, the vertex is going to be where x is equal to -0.5. So all we have to do is average these two together. All right, then we'll do our second step. I'm going to plug the -0.5 into the quadratic equation. Now, I decided to use this one here. You know, you could also use this here if you wanted, or you could plug it right back into the beginning one. It doesn't matter. I think this one might have been a little bit easier. All right, but it doesn't matter. All right, let's see what happened when I did this. So -1 times -0.5 squared plus -0.5 minus 12. So I have -1 times, so this is positive 0.25, because remember a negative times a negative is a positive, plus -0.5 minus 12. And when I did that, I have -1 still. This ends up being -12.5, but then I'm adding 0.25, so I'm thinking about it like money, so -$12.50. But if I'm adding a quarter, I get -12.25. Then multiply that by -1, and it's positive 12.25. Bingo, we got it. All right. So that's the lesson for today. All right. Really, it's ways that we're going to be using factoring to figure out x-intercepts, and then from there, how we can figure out a vertex. All right. We're going to continue with this just a little bit this week. All right. Nice job, you guys.